Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back. We know it's Teresa Candy's world. We're just living in it.
First, Rob, I just have to ask you, what kind of boxes do you use to wrap your birthday gifts up with?
Usually they come in a bottle.
It's already
Do they have
pre-wrapped.
bubbles in that bottle?
Rob's gift is already pre-wrapped.
Bubbles
Yes.
in the bottle.
I for charity, of course. I
In the
bought
box.
the biggest bottle of wine I have ever seen yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like $100.
It's a Magnum or...
It looks actually
was
bigger
huge.
than a Magnum. Not
Yes.
that I will ever drink it.
Yeah.
Do you know, I have to tell you guys, these guys are like the sweetest guys. You know, Chris Kelso, if you need someone
Cue the
for
music.
mortgage, refi, and Joe Orsak, if you've got credit issues, and Mr. Rob Cook, love him if you need a great agent in the Houston area. Now, if you need a great agent, a female, great female agent in the Woodlands, call me. And if you need a great male agent in the Woodlands, you can call Brian.
Yes, well, there's plenty of business out there for everybody. I never
There
feel
is.
like other agents are my competition at all. And of course, I do more training and teaching and things like that than I do production.
We were talking about that. In fact, we started off about that, and I think that was a pretty interesting conversation to go to. Is Houston is actually one of the most friendly real estate markets I have ever seen.
Until there's multiple offers.
Yeah.
Then it
No,
gets
but what I'm
ugly.
talking about, the way everyone gets along with everybody. I mean, I've been in other areas in which, your competitors don't necessarily hang out. They don't do a lot of stuff together, and Houston is not like that. Houston is a very...
Because our competitors are also going to be the person we're going to be doing a transaction with.
Yes, absolutely.
person.
Absolutely. So Houston, and I contribute this still. We have the greatest association in HAR in any city you can possibly imagine.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I think
I
that
agree.
translates.
Absolutely.
That translates down to the individuals and to the real estate professionals in this industry.
Yeah, and, I've traveled all over the country, and people are certainly jealous of the association. They go, "You guys rock!"
Oh.
Everywhere we go,
We have one of the best, and they are so sweet.
Teresa?
The
The best.
Yes, we do.
Because this is how my squirrel mind works.
I can't wait to hear it.
Didn't you have a shout out to do?
Yeah, to my boys.
Yeah, your squirrel mind must be really off because she did that a little while ago.
No,
But you can
he's
do it
like,
again.
Shining
Do it
light.
again.
He was looking at the shining light. Okay, my shout out to my boys who have their first football game ever. They're doing 7-on-7 South Montgomery County Football League, and their first game's at 9. And then 11, 2 at 11 and 1 at 12. So I told them, Tristan and Dalton, Mommy loves you. And I am so excited. You guys are going to do great today.
And all those girls out there, let me tell you, go
Yeah.
see them.
Yes.
That's right. Good
They're-
boys right there.
Yes.
Yep. Get them while they're young.
Yes,
Hey, wait a minute. My one already got a little
that was your
heartbroken already.
strategy with Regina. Wasn't
That
it?
was the only option I had, by the
Yeah,
way.
you had to get her young.
Yes.
But she wasn't. And
Get them young
naive.
and naive before they get to be too old,
Worked
because
for
then
me.
once you're my age, I'm sort of nothing I can do.
Pin them down, get them under contract.
So
Closed.
here's something I want to kind of talk to you guys about and ask you, because I went on this listing appointment the other day, right? And so this seller was telling me about this new for sale by owner broker who also will give back and I think this is pretty illegal, $10,000 the seller will give to the buyer. And he's saying that using realtors is a thing of the past now, that everything is. And I'm sitting here listening to this guy, and I'm like, okay, I have never heard of anything like that. It's just crazy.
It's simple. You can rebate back to a principal in a transaction. However, all parties have to be notified.
Yeah.
Which also means the lender.
The lender.
And the lender is not going to allow it.
Oh.
And if they find out that you did it, it's mortgage fraud.
Mortgage fraud. And that's what I said to the seller. Exactly. I said, have you heard of this, Brian?
I have not.
I was floored. And
Well,
in
there's
fact,
some
I
out
won't
there.
say the guy's name, but I'll tell you
Well,
guys
there's a
afterwards.
website out there that basically says we'll rebate back 2% after the closing. But the fact is, one of the last things they ask you at a closing, it says, are there any outside agreements on this transaction?
Yeah.
And if they find out you got cash back,
Oh.
you
yeah.
You
if
can't
you look
get
good in orange,
anything-
go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But don't.
Anything that is not done on the HUD is not
Yeah.
legal. You have to put any
And most of the time, if
financial
there's any
transaction
kind of
on that,
rebate involved, that if it can show up on the HUD, it's okay. And it's usually
Yeah.
Yes.
it's usually going to be something towards their closing costs or something along that line. That's perfectly legal. Although we work hard for our money.
Oh, heck
And
yeah.
personally, if you need to get a rebate, Are you going to get what you pay for?
Exactly, and that's what I say.
Yeah.
And what about all the changes, you guys? That we're no longer a head statement. It's called a consummation and a closing disclosure, and it's going to be put on a CD, and just all these
and
changes.
It's going to be on the backs of the mortgage companies.
Poor Chris is really going to be.
You know what's interesting though is if we talk about that, we've been going through a lot of stuff this year. We actually started at the beginning of this year, really changing the way we do things as well. We don't, we're not waiting to the last moment, getting HUDs the day before. We've been doing things 3 days ahead of time for a long time. What's really going to be the big change, though, is that, number one, the terminology of GFE and truth in lending or TIL, HUD, all those are going away. So now it's known as the loan disclosure, the closing disclosure. Now we're looking at consummation as being the new word, the new key term.
There'll be that waiting period too, right?
And you've got your 2-day waiting period.
Rush
I don't
to
know
close.
if we should be talking about consummation.
I know. I'm all like,
it's really interesting. The one thing I'll tell you what,
Where's this show headed?
This is one thing that's really funny.
A little racy
The
in here.
number one question that was asked prior to these new changes is your TIL, which was your APR. Now, and everyone goes, is my APR my interest rate? No, it's not your interest rate. Well, on the new closing disclosure, they now have a total interest charged over the life of the loan. So what happens is now probably the number one question is going to be asked is, what do you mean I'm paying 101% in interest for this loan?
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the new changes. Some of the new changes that are coming along is they're now actually changing some of the way they want people to look at their home.
Could be worse. They could do it like they finance cars, rules of 7 and 8, where it's even worse.
Well, all they're doing basically is on the old Truth in Lending or the Truth Lending right now, it says you've got your APR, which is, your annual percentage rate. You've got the total amount of your finance transaction. Then you have the total amount of interest paid over the life of the loan.
Right.
All they're doing is put that in a percentage rate.
Yeah.
Okay, listeners, out there, just pay cash.
Just circle back around and do the
Hey.
360 easy payments.
Yes.
There you go.
That's what I
There
would
you
call it,
go.
360
I know.
easy payments.
But it will be different. And thank you, Dodd-Frank. That was thanks to the CFPB and Dodd-Frank Act of it went into effect around 2010. And then, of course, they've been implementing a little bit at a time as it goes along, and it'll just be different.
I will tell you, though, and this is, and I will say this, the new disclosures are really nice.
Yeah.
They are really nice. If anyone hasn't seen them, you can go out there and see them. You can go to, we can put them on the website, whatever it needs to be. The new disclosures are very nice. They are more detailed. They bring everything into a single area, so you're not really confused about looking at 3 different documents to see what you're seeing. It's all within like an 8-page document right there. So it will be simpler. But one of the things that what we're telling everybody about is just know that there's going to be a waiting period. There's going to be some changes that happen. Mm-hmm. Start practicing it now. Do not wait until it's implemented.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden start practicing that 3 days.
And interesting enough, when I'm teaching legal and ethics, I'll always have somebody, there's a place in there about CFPB and talking about what's going to be allowed under the CFPB as far as what loan structure. But I go ahead and kind of extend on that and said, has anyone heard of the CFPB? And you can't believe how many people have that deer in the headlight look in my class. It's like, this has been coming for a long time, and they still don't know.
Right.
And there's going to be people caught out there that don't have a clue. And I'm worried about the consumers are really going to get hurt.
And that's when you need to work with an experienced agent. And I think
what
that's
a segue.
Hello, a top producing agent. List with me. Sell with me. No, but seriously, I mean, that's where we're going to see, and even as top producing agents, I'm sure we've all dealt with agents that are new, and you read these contracts that these offers they submit, and you're like, wow, what? And I think that we're really going to have to work both sides now even more than what we're doing right now. Do you know what I'm saying?
I would thoroughly agree.
I agree. Absolutely.
And you've got to be really well versed in what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Because changes are happening. People are going to be a little confused at the very beginning. You have to work with experienced individuals up and down the food chain. I mean, that goes from title to the real estate agent to the mortgage company to, the home inspectors to insurance. Up and down the food chain, I think it's important for everybody to understand how those transactions work and sort of what's going on.
So. That insurance is on the bottom of that food chain somehow?
No, not whatsoever.
My son just made a touchdown. My brother just sent me a text, and he's like, Tristan just scored a touchdown.
You heard
Yay!
it here.
Yes, there it
Go,
is.
Tristan.
Well, so let's. I want to ask you a question, and this one is actually going to go to Teresa first. You do a lot of listings.
Yes.
Listings are the lifeblood of the industry, and that is per Rob, by the way. I just stole it just for this temporary use right now. What's going on as far as how are listings up in the Woodlands or anywhere right there, and what's really causing an effective listing? You mentioned a listing that was on the market didn't get any offers. You listed it, now all of a sudden you get 3 offers on it. What's your
that
secret
happen?
sauce?
How
Yes.
does that happen? Okay, well, I study numbers, and what did you say, Joe? I study, and so I'm always looking at where. Yeah, magic. That's it. I sprinkle a little fairy dust.
Oh, you got the little magic 8-ball, don't you?
Yeah. No.
It's your close connection with the real estate rat.
Well, but exactly. I mean, they said every time I'm on the show, somebody calls. So anyway, no. What I do is I look at the numbers. So, for example, this one listing, the agent was her first listing ever. She underlisted them. So when you're in a neighborhood and homes are selling for the high 300s, low 400s, and they've got you in the low 300s, right offhand, a buyer is going to think this is a foreclosure. Or a short sale, or something's wrong with it, and they're going to overlook it because it's not the norm in that neighborhood. So when I met with them, they were telling me, they didn't have any showings, this and that. And I'm like, well, there is nothing wrong with your house. I bet you weren't priced right. And I told them, they were actually expired. I knocked on their door. And I went back, and sure enough, when I looked at numbers, that was it. They were 50,000 under where they should have been. Put them on, and we got multiple offers. And I can't disclose what they were, but I can tell you that my sellers have put a huge shout out to me on Facebook.
Awesome.
So it's just studying, knowing your numbers. Sometimes you're overpriced, but you also have to think ahead of the market and just really look at the value, not price per square foot. That is a huge mistake a lot of agents do. They think price per square foot. No, it's the value of your house.
Well, builders taught us how to do that, and then we taught consumers how to do that.
No, because if you've got a new AC, a new roof, a new hot water heater, you're going to have more value than a house that doesn't. And so, because I've had some clients who have talked with other agents, and it's all about, well, they said price per square foot. I said, that's how I'm different. I'm a listing specialist.
That is not the only way you're different.
In this room, you're different by a lot of other factors, not just
Great
that.
job, Teresa.
Thanks, Brian.
But we are coming up against a break. I want to continue that line of discussion because one of the things that we talk about from an appraisal perspective, and appraisals, we talk about this all the time, is price per square foot is not the way an appraisal is done either.
Right.
It's based on market value. So we're going to continue to have that discussion. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we've got a break to do right now. We got to pay for the show.
It's
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Why don't